Hi everybody, and welcome to another video. And today I am back, and if you saw my 2020 Democratic primary prediction video from a few days ago, there were some points that I didn't really talk about anything because there was background noise, so I just put in music. But right now I just want to explain why I think Joe Biden has the most likely chance to win the Democratic primary, and then after that I want to make a video about why I think Joe Biden has the best chance to win the 2016 election. So without further ado, let's begin. Bernie Sanders, as you know, is progressive, and the same thing is with Harris and O'Rourke. These five candidates are the most likely to stay in the race until the end, so I just put them in. And the vote splitting is something that I really think will be negative for Sanders, and it's one of the main reasons Biden will win. Biden does not have vote splitting. He has all of the liberal votes. There's really nobody else they could go for, except for Buttigieg, but he's more of this mix. And he's like he's the last place one. He's just the one that takes away votes from everybody, but not that much. On the other hand, Harris and O'Rourke are pretty popular, and especially Harris. And Harris takes away from the minority votes that Sanders gets, which is why states like Alabama and states like these, like Alabama, are really likely to go to Biden. And Sanders won't do that well in these kinds of states. These are just the kinds of states where Biden wins, and then the rest of the candidates try to take as many delegates as possible. And that's how it really makes sense, because Biden was the vice president, and a lot of Democrats down here are conservative centrists or liberals. There aren't really a lot that are progressive, and they're probably going to stick to Biden. The minorities, they're more likely to go to Harris, or even a bit more radical ones. They could go to O'Rourke, and Buttigieg really doesn't have a core following here. So states like these that just are only going to be contended by Biden and Harris, or we're coming close third in just Buttigieg and Sanders trying to get a few delegates. But just because Biden does well here, it doesn't mean he won't do well around here. Even with the vote splitting, there are a lot of heavily progressive Democratic voters around the Midwest. They're not that much, but they do go and support Sanders. And Sanders could take these states, but he won't do that well because there's always Harris and O'Rourke right behind his back. So states like these won't really get a lot of they will be split a lot, still going to Sanders, but they're closer than usual. And just because of vote splitting, I could see South Dakota staying with Biden. South Dakota, I expected it to go to not to Clinton, to Sanders, because that was just progressive versus liberal. Progressive would have won there, but now that there's vote splitting, Biden would take it, and there wouldn't be a lot of people to help that. Honestly, states like South Dakota are obviously, it's not obvious because it could still go to Bernie, but it would be hard with vote splitting. And from the start, Biden looks like a clear front runner for this. Missouri, goes to Biden. Sanders gets a bit close, but this is really what will happen around the South. And Bernie Sanders' lack of support in states like Florida that are really crucial. especially because of the Cuban votes. Harris won't do really well here. It will be more of Sanders will get second probably, but he won't do well. It's just a Biden state. It's the kind of state that's gonna go to Biden, but at the same time, progressive states like West Virginia could still go to Sanders, and I could see states like these go. A lot of states in the Midwest are gonna be closer. Again, for progressives, like, how do I explain this? Sanders would have a super big margin of victory if Harris and O'Rourke weren't running, or anybody else. These mediocre candidates, but since they are running, it's just gonna take away votes from him. I don't see him losing the states, but I see him not doing as well. And and just because of this, states like Iowa, they're gonna go to Biden. He does have this working class appeal to a lot of people. He could bring back the old America. He's like the Obama era, and there are a lot of Obama era voters. Most Obama voters, or not most, but a lot of Obama voters will go for Biden. The establishment will, of course, go for him, but he just resonates more with the everyday person. Not as much as Sanders, but both of them were working class, and he was born in Pennsylvania, and just his working class appeal will get him these kinds of states. And in a lot of these states, there really won't be contention. Biden will just win in landslide victories. Like in South Carolina, the start of the Democratic primary, I see being heavily in Biden's favor. Biden, now that he's running for president, as we all know, we saw today, he's gotten all of the attention, and people are just gonna forget about Sanders as time goes on, because he's not gonna be as radical, because there are always new progressives are coming up with ideas, and he's just gonna be, the only thing he's gonna have is being the first person. He has the same talking points as every other progressive candidate. He just doesn't support a few stuff like the UBI, and like, I don't know if he's for or against the electoral college. I don't know about that one yet. But he is also for some wars. He doesn't want to get out of all of the wars, which is still pretty bad. But Biden, and a lot of people will just take a spotlight by making really controversial statements like Donald Trump did, and it's just going to help him get more attention. Sanders isn't the kind of person that will get a lot of attention. It's going to be somebody like Andrew Yang or Kamala Harris with the slavery reparations. And this is just why Biden could edge out Nevada, as you see here. And it's just gonna be this way, and the current trend that you're seeing here is gonna keep on going throughout the video. He will take a lot of these states like Delaware. Not really. He'll take states like Maryland. These kinds of states are just the kind of liberal states. And Bernie Sanders just won't get liberal voters. In the election, he's not going to get liberal voters. Not a lot of them, at least. And Biden is kind of a compromise when you look at it. And just people will support him, especially now with all the hype from him announcing his candidacy. So, yeah, now that I have these states filled in, I want to go for Alaska, which is still going to go to Sanders, but just want to fill some states in here. I don't really have time to make everything exact in the delegates because that would take a long time of like looking at stuff. But we could see the clear winners for a lot of the time. A lot of people might have thought that Illinois would have went to Sanders, and maybe it would, but looking back at it, you could see the vote splitting in Illinois. Illinois is very liberal, but still could be progressive, and I think that states like these could end up possibly going to Sanders. I will just give it to him because I'll just give him the benefit of the doubt for this. But I want to talk about a few other things before. First, we're going to start off with every single region area. We need to look at this area with California, Oregon, and Washington. So Sanders is pretty popular with the Cascadian voters. With around here, it's a very white area. So I could see these two states going to Sanders. Harris and Biden will do okay here. It won't really be that bad because Sanders did do well here in 2016, but I could still see him win here. And California, this is the state that you could see Kamala Harris take and Joe Biden, and that would just be amazing for Joe Biden. Not like I was a bit too biased. Well, I wasn't even biased. I don't like Kamala Harris. I just was too favorable to Kamala Harris in a lot of my videos. I don't know why. I just overestimate the minority votes. But Biden will do really well here. Sanders also will do well here. Kamala Harris will do well here, but not enough. O'Rourke will do well here, and Buttigieg, not really. Well, not all of them. But when you look at it, I could see Biden take either Biden or Harris could take California. I do see Biden taking it, just because of a lot of the voters in California are liberal, and a lot are also progressive. It's gonna be pretty split, half and half, a lot of the areas, but it's the place with a lot of California has been known for its being liberal. More progressive states are like in the Midwest for Democrats. But still, California could go either way in this scenario. In the election, I think California is the hardest call I can make. But at the same time, Sanders, assuming that Harris and O'Rourke weren't even here, it's not just because of vote splitting. It's because they're gonna take states that I could see Sanders take if it was just a Biden versus Sanders. Like Harris, she will take New Mexico. Not really. There really isn't a lot to argue about here. Harris will take New Mexico. Harris will take. Well, O'Rourke will take Texas. And I could see a lot of the states here going to Harris and O'Rourke. Not as much, but just states that Bernie could have taken when if they weren't running, like Arizona. Arizona, more of an O'Rourke state. I don't think Harris will do as well here. You could see Arizona going this way. And then Harris taking, I could see Harris take Utah. Utah has a big minority population. And it is progressive, kind of. not that much. And then Colorado. I see Harris taking Colorado. O'Rourke and Sanders, Biden, Buttigieg, all of them coming close. But these kinds of states that maybe I could see Sanders take some of them. If it was a one-on-one, then I would have seen Biden take Texas. But for all these other states, all these could have easily went to Sanders. And just all these candidates that are progressive and having the same ideas, it's not going to help him. Biden is going to have a lot of help from these kinds of states. And like these liberal states like Virginia going to Biden, and like Ohio. Like, I'm not going to touch them. I don't want to go through every state because it isn't about that. It's just explaining why I think so. And we could see states like North Dakota go to Sanders, and but at the same time, now with vote splitting, Michigan is gonna go to Biden. It's gonna go to Biden. Indiana, I think Buttigieg will edge it out. And a lot. So I see this happening around. This is a pretty accurate prediction. Last time I gave Harris too much. Harris would not beat Sanders. Sanders will come in second in the primary. At least that's what I predict. And just because of a lot of the liberal states, and how Clinton actually did win in New York. I know it was her home state, but New York is also Sanders' home state. But New York, I could still see Biden edging it out against Sanders in here. And I just see it because a lot of his appeals to these voters. He was in Pennsylvania, and Hillary Clinton won here by almost 20 points. I know that New York has become more progressive, which is why I see it being close. But still, Biden will keep the support from the Clinton voters and the Obama voters. So now, looking at the rest of these states, I'm not going to fill the rest of them in. I just want to look at one more key part that I think shows why I think that Biden will win the superdelegates. Just superdelegates are very important to the race a lot of the time. And I just want to go through. Bernie Sanders is not going to get a lot of superdelegates. If anything, I shouldn't have gave Kamala Harris that many superdelegates. She will get a lot of them, but not a lot, not as much. Buttigieg, let's just say he gets 5%, like. Then O'Rourke, it's like 11%. Sanders gets 15%. Okay, now we have the 67% left. Joe Biden is very corporate. Kamala Harris is not as corporate. Joe Biden can take a lot of the votes here, and Kamala Harris could take the rest. She is not corporate enough. She does not have the elitist votes. So I would give the superdelegates, the majority of the plurality of the superdelegates to Joe Biden. And basically, Biden will take a lot of the states. And even though I don't fill everything out, states like the North area, the point is that Harris, O'Rourke, and I didn't include even more, but if I did, it would just be even worse for Sanders, Warren, Gillibrand, Klobuchar. The list goes on. Yang, like, really, it goes on for a long time. There are so many progressives and people like a lot of people that are just social justice warriors as taking Sanders' reputation and just making it their own. And on the other hand, when you look at the liberal ones, like Buttigieg, who just isn't more liberal, he's not going to take voters from Biden, he's going to take voters from everybody, but not a lot. He's just not going to change the election that much. All these other progressives are just going to change it. And polls have shown this a lot. So, this is basically why I think that Bernie Sanders will lose, and why I think that Joe Biden will win in the 2020 Democratic primary. The next video will be why I think that Joe Biden will win the 2020 election in general, like the 2020 the general election against Donald Trump. So stay tuned for that. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.